Monsters under your bed, in your closet, lurking in the darkness. Fiction, right? Creatures that roam the night and terrorize humans have been in fiction for a long time. But what if they aren't just fairy tales? What if some of the most famous scary monsters of all time actually once did exist, or even do currently? Here are 10 real-life monsters that actually exist. Number 10 are werewolves. The modern werewolf story states that such a creature bites its victims, and then the victim turns into a werewolf as well. But there are a number of well-documented instances where real werewolves abducted people rather than just biting them. One of the most famous is Gilles Garnier, who lived in a forest near the village of Dole in 15th century France. He had spent most of his life fending for himself in the woods, but when he got married, he had another mouth to feed. Worried that he and his wife would starve, Gilles claimed that he was met by a man who he later believed to be the devil himself. The man offered Gilles a magical ointment that would bring food to the door. But when Gilles wore the ointment, he turned into a mindless, ravenous creature, which kidnapped 4 children and ate them with his wife. Number 9 is the Mothman. The Mothman is a famous cryptid which appears just before a great tragedy occurs. One theory, however, states that the Mothman creature does more than just warn people. It kidnaps some of those that it encounters. Take the Point Pleasant disaster, for example. In 1967, after the Mothman was spotted around the US town of Point Pleasant, a bridge collapsed, killing 46 people. That much is commonly known, but what isn't is the sinister possibility that the Mothman brought about the disaster to kidnap 2 people present at the bridge's collapse. When the dust settled, the bodies of Kathy Bias and Maxine Turner, who were on the bridge, vanished, as if something otherworldly had swooped in and taken them away for an unknown purpose. Number 8 are astral entities. Astral projection allows a person to vibrate their spiritual body in such a way that it leaves the physical form behind. Users of the astral projection method describe being able to float out of their bodies and travel to far-flung places before returning to their corporeal vessel. However, the dimension through which astral projection occurs is not an empty void. There are spiritual creatures which live in that realm. Practitioners have cited numerous instances when some of these creatures have attempted to kidnap their soul or spirit. This then allows such entities to enter the body and become flesh, taking over the individual. What catches victims out during this process is that the entities, while demonic in nature, take the form of passed on loved ones to trick the individual into losing their body forever. Number 7 is the CHARAMA entity. With so many people vanishing in the modern world, it's not surprising that such abductions also took place thousands of years ago when human beings were less protected. It's also unsurprising that ancient people would record these moments as a warning to anyone willing to listen. The cave paintings at CHARAMA in central India show strange beings taking human beings away for an unknown purpose. While some believe these creatures are alien in origin, many believe that what can only be called the CHARAMA entities are something completely unknown, which ancient humans encountered regularly. Perhaps the people who made those paintings were using those caves to shelter from more than just the elements outside. Who knows what creatures walked the earth and whether they're still around. Number 6 are road trolls. There's an unknown creature which is plaguing the country roads of North America. Known as a road troll, these creatures have been the cause of road accidents, terrifying encounters at night, and even kidnappings. Road troll encounters tend to follow a pattern similar to the experience of trucker Gary Durbin, who first saw one of the creatures by the side of an empty road in 1981. The creature looked like a wild man covered in hair, and it had appeared to have had a wooden leg. During the drive, Durbin would see the creature appear again, hundreds of kilometers from the first sighting. Some believe that the occasional empty car found by the side of the remote road is evidence of a road troll pulling the driver off the road and disappearing into the wilderness with their catch. Number 5 is the Highgate vampire. Vampires aren't just a relic of old world mythology. They may be real, and during the 1970s, one of them came to London. It fed on animals nearby and took a young girl prisoner by controlling her as she slept. The girl would walk to London's Highgate Cemetery and visit the creature. Investigators who believed witness accounts followed the girl and allegedly drove the creature out of the cemetery. Years later, one of those investigators, Sean Manchester, came face to face with the vampire as it slept in a local basement. There, he destroyed it. The Highgate vampire remains one of the most well-documented cases of vampire activity in history. Those who believe the claim say that the vampire spread its influence, placing people into a daze while leading them to where it lay to slowly drain them of what it craved: life. Number 4 are witches. Whether supernatural monster, misunderstood religious practice, or dark spiritual zealot, witches are very real. From the Mora witch trial in the 17th century in Sweden to 21st century Mozambique, where bald men were being abducted and killed in witchcraft ceremonies, witches remain hidden in the darkest corners of every country on the planet. In Tanzania, children suffering from albinism, which removes pigment from their skin, have been kidnapped for use in witchcraft rituals supposedly designed to bring good fortune and health to their kidnappers. But while most of these terrible crimes can be accounted for by humans alone, many believe that some witches have entered into a pact with evil demonic beings which assist them in their attempts to kidnap people and sacrifice them for unknown satanic purposes. Number 3 is the unknown abductor. In his book series Missing 411, former police detective David Paulides has uncovered a terrifying number of disappearances in national parks across North America. A large number of people have been disappearing in remote parts of these parks. What's more sinister about these disappearances is that they appear to be connected. Many of the disappearances involve children with their parents. In 1 second, a parent looks away from their child while camping, only to look back and see that the child has vanished. In cases where a body is later found, it's discovered where rescue teams have already searched, as if the abductor has returned the body to the scene of the crime. Some believe that whatever is taking these people is of supernatural origin and walks through the wildernesses of America and Canada. Number 2 are greys. Since the advent of modern science fiction, alien abductions have increased with alarming regularity. Those abducted describe terrifying scenarios, like being lifted from their beds and placed on a surgical table, as aliens with gray skin and large black eyes operate on them. One theory is that they are an alien species which treats human beings much like we treat animals in a zoo. Another is that it's all a figment of imagination brought on by popular culture's obsession with alien life. But looking at history, it's clear that these experiences actually predate modern science fiction. Almost every culture has similar stories which have been reinterpreted by the conventions of the times. Angels, demons, ghosts, succubi, and aliens, take your pick. Whatever they are, their abductions are horrifying, leaving no one safe at night as they sleep. And number 1 is Bigfoot. Bigfoot is one of the most elusive cryptids in the world, hiding in dense forested areas. But many claim that they do cross paths with us, and not always peacefully. In fact, there are several accounts of Bigfoot creatures charging out of tree lines and kidnapping people enjoying the scenery. One of the earliest accounts is that of a lumberjack in Canada in 1924. His name was Albert Otzman, and he was carried prisoner by a group of Bigfoot creatures and held captive for 6 days before making his escape. Several other accounts exist of other abductions, including women being held against their will by male Bigfoot creatures. In one account, a girl called Oksana Terletskaya was abducted for an entire year. When she escaped and rested in a hospital, it's said that the creature came back for her, and Oksana vanished without a trace.